Awesome. Thank you all so much for attending our webinar. My name is Eve Latau. I am the program manager currently for Innovate Alabama for the Innovate Alabama Network. I'm an analyst with the company Attorney Advisors. So I am going to go through a brief presentation describing what the network is, how you apply, and what the benefits are. As some of you may notice or may know that we just finished our first round of the program, which was highly successful. We had about 51 applicants who received admission into the network, and we dispersed about $9.3 million. We hope to kind of build on the success of this first round with another round of the program. So this is, yeah, I will go ahead and start. So we'll start with an overview of what the network is. So the Innovate Alabama Network is a program. It is our program aimed at building robust and resilient innovation ecosystem throughout the state, primarily with engaging with our ecosystem partners. So when I say ecosystem partners, I'm talking about our nonprofits, our communities, and our educational institutions. And so how we hope to engage, we are leveraging this program to disperse funding, connect assets, so connect our ecosystem partners as well as our innovation assets across the state, and provide non-monetary resources to our members. So the program was built kind of on the principle of transparently and consistently providing funding. So when we began Innovate Alabama, we did not have a specific conduit for making sure that our partners receive funding for their innovation-related projects. So this program really came out of that need. And again, we hope to expand the need, the program, which I'll talk about in a little bit. So when you apply for the network and you are accepted into the network, there are three major benefits that I want to talk about. So just for getting into the network, you can earn up to $250,000 in award funding. This funding is supposed to be used for a innovation-related project of your choosing. And again, it's up to $250,000. So depending on the amount of applicants and our funding allocation for that year, it may not be that full 250. Secondly, you get ongoing access to the Innovate Alabama Network. And so what we're hoping to do is we're hoping to build this out in the future, which I'll talk about in this next slide, and then additional grant resources. So all members who are admitted into the network have the opportunity to apply for another supplemental grant for an innovation-related project. So for those who have already been admitted, they have the opportunity to apply for a grant. And for those who will be admitted or who are submitting their application this round, you can submit both an application for the network and a supplemental grant application. However, at the same time, however, your grant will not be reviewed unless you are admitted into the network itself. And so just to clarify a little bit on the timing, so while this round is beginning in 2023, it closes in 2024 and is going to count as our 2024 round. So if you made it in this first round, the one that began in August or September, that is the 2023 round of the Innovate Alabama Network applications. This round that's open right now, even though it is still 2023, it will be counted as our 2024 round because it closes in January. So future benefits. So what do we hope for the rest of the network as we continue to grow? We are a new organization, and our first and primary objective with this program was to get funding out, but we hope to expand how expand to not only funding organizations, but building capacity in our local ecosystem partners. So some of the ideas that we've been circling and hope to roll out in the future are networking opportunities and convening opportunities with our ecosystem partners. We hope to do regional challenges similar to the Regional Tech Hub program, which Birmingham won federally. New grant opportunities, maybe around a specific industry need, learning opportunities, technical assistance, and potentially some advocacy as it relates to getting resources to our ecosystem partners. So what does the process look like for this application? All of our ecosystem partners will apply through an application, which I will go into a little bit more detail in a moment. These applications will be scored through a committee of stakeholders from across the state in the innovation ecosystem, and then you'll earn a designation. So that's a brief overview. Let's go into how you apply. So first important question is, do you qualify? So our program right now, as it's written, our eligible ecosystem partners include nonprofit entities, and those are only 501c3 entities, our educational institutions, and our communities. I will note that educational institutions are also normally a 501c3, but they are not eligible to apply as a nonprofit. They must apply as an educational institution. And our application materials can be found on the Innovate Alabama website. You'll scroll to, or you'll navigate the top bar. There's a programs tab. You'll click that and find the Innovate Alabama Network button. You can scroll down and you will find required documentation and materials needed for your application. So let's go through the specific parts of the application. So there are 3 to 4 parts depending on what type of entity you are. So the first part we'll go through is the capacity assessment. And this is unscored, but it is required for our nonprofit organizations to submit. So this part of the application lists about 8 questions that attempt to evaluate the capacity for launching innovation-related programming throughout the state. So these programs or these questions are designed to assess organizational health, which refers to its capacity to support and catalyze innovation. And so, again, this has no bearing on an application score, whether or not it will be admitted into the network. But what it does do is it allows us to determine what the threshold is for a score that you need based on your organization's capacity. So for example, some rural partners may not have the amount of resources that some of our urban partners have, which is 100% fine. But we want to make sure that the bar for admission into the network is moved accordingly. So this helps us put you and your organization in a relative way so that we can score you appropriately. Is our innovation asset assessment, and this is required for all partners or all applicants. It is not scored. There's no sort of scoring criteria, but we do expect you and expect that if you earn a designation, you will fill this out. The purpose of this is to list any related innovation assets that your organization has or your community has. We especially want to know if these assets contribute to the ecosystem and any impacts that, the applicant or the asset has. Applicants should also note if these assets directly impact innovation activity in a marginalized community, or whether or not they help assist with a broader regional innovation ecosystem. And so what this is aiming to do is, we know that there's a lot of different pockets across the state working on innovation, and we want to have all that information in one place so that if we have a need in Birmingham or in Huntsville that maybe the assets aren't here in that location, we can say, oh, there's an organization in, Mobile or Dothan that can help assist with some of the needs in this part of the state. And then our third part of the application is our narrative application. This is the part of the application that will be scored. It is 4 questions asking applicants to create a narrative that highlights and tells the story of the organization and how it has contributed to developing a regional innovation ecosystem thus far. So our 4 questions are: how does the programming, relate to advance Innovate Alabama's people focus, place focus, resources, and enhancing our regional innovation ecosystem. So when we talk about people, we're referring to the assets and programming that enhance our local workforce, whether that's workforce development or retraining of adult workers, K-12 or higher education. Those are all kind of in this people bucket. Place refers to creating a high quality of life in the place that the organization is based. And the way we think about it is a high quality of life is more likely to attract and retain workers. And that can enhance our innovation ecosystem. And then resources is whether or not your organization or community has specific resources aimed at equipping entrepreneurs and small businesses with financing, technical assistance, things like that. And we know that our partners are incredibly broad across the state. So we are going to let you all define your narrative. And there is going to be a lot of different things we're not thinking about that you all engage with all the time, and we want to hear about those amazing efforts. Application submission. So please submit your application to partners@innovatealabama.org. This should be a PDF application. And in the subject line, it should say Innovate Alabama Network application. There are 2 required forms that you must also submit. So one is the Excel document that is the asset inventory we just talked about. Please keep that as an Excel. It is listed on the website. And then there's also an executive summary form, which is on the website as well. It's a fillable form. We basically are asking you all to take your narrative questions, the answers to that, and put it on one sheet. And we just use this for scoring. So when we provide our applications to our scoring committee, we don't give them the full packet of information to score. We just give them the 1 or 2 pages that are those answers. Do's and don'ts. So please keep your answers to each question in 500 words or less. So that's 500 words per each question. Please reference any specific policies, plans, initiatives, impacts that your community has had already as it relates to innovation to build your case. You are eligible to submit up to 3 supporting documents to illustrate the points discussed in the narrative application. And do discuss how the application or entrance into the network will enhance the innovation ecosystem, especially if it relates to disadvantaged workers and entrepreneurs. Our second round for the network closes on January 25th at 5 p.m. Central. Please get your applications in prior to that. We must receive your application prior to 5 p.m. Even if you sent it before 5 p.m., If we do not get it by then, it cannot be evaluated, and you'll have to wait another year to enter the network. And this is kind of the biggest change from our last round, but we are taking applications and our grant program, and we're splitting them. So instead of applying for it all in one process, we are taking our grant and it's going through a separate application process. So for organizations that have been admitted into the network, they are allowed to apply for an additional grant to do an innovation related project that they don't have enough funding for with that initial award, or they just need additional funding. So once an organization has been accepted into the network, they're able to apply for one Innovate Alabama network grant per year. And this is outside of that initial application. So again, if you did just get an award or a grant during round 1, which closed in September, you are allowed to apply for an additional grant during this time, because this is counting as our 2024 grant program. Projects that you're applying for must align with the Innovate Alabama pillars. And again, we are not going to fund multi-year funding requests, but this information can all be found on the website on the same page I referenced before, but just further down. So if you have applications and you want to apply for supplemental funding related to the network, please submit a project description and a budget to partners@innovatealabama.org. In your project description, we expect a project overview and expected milestones. And then also please write some explicit statements that show how the projects will impact Alabama's economic development and how it aligns with Innovate Alabama's pillars. Additionally, please include a project budget. And so we do not have a specific spreadsheet or format we're looking for, but it should be in a spreadsheet. And then also please include a budget justification and a budget timeline. And that is all I have for this. So thank you all so much for listening. Please attend office hours as listed on our website, or tune in for some live webinars for additional questions that you may have. And if you have any additional questions, please email the partners@innovatealabama.org email address. Thank you all so much, and we look forward to your applications.